People who have goals succeed because they know where they're going. It's that simple. Without direction, life will toss you around like a ship without a compass, busy, moving, but never arriving. Goals give your effort purpose, your energy focus, and your struggles meaning. Success doesn't come to the smartest or the luckiest. It comes to the one who decides where they're going and refuses to stop until they get there. Direction decides destiny, and without it, you'll spend your life running in circles instead of building a future. Most people live their entire lives in motion, yet very few actually move forward. They work hard, they wake early, they stay busy, and still, at the end of many years, they look back and wonder why so little has changed. Why? Because effort without direction is like pouring water into the sand. It disappears without building anything lasting. A man without goals can be compared to a traveler walking in a vast desert. The sun rises, he begins walking. By midday, he is tired, thirsty, and uncertain if he is any closer to his destination, because he has no destination. He is moving, yes, but toward what? And when the night falls, he collapses under the stars, realizing that despite all his walking, he has arrived nowhere. This is the tragedy of countless lives. Great energy wasted because there was no clear aim. On the other hand, consider the man who knows his direction. He may not walk as fast, he may not even have all the resources at first, but every step he takes brings him closer to a definite goal. His strength is renewed because he knows why he endures. His vision carries him when his body is tired. He may stumble, but he never feels lost because the path before him is fixed in his mind. That is the power of direction. You see, life does not reward the drifter. It rewards the one who dares to choose. A river without banks becomes a swamp, stagnant and spreading without force. But when given a clear course, that same water becomes a mighty current, strong enough to carve valleys and turn turbines. In the same way, your energy, your time, your talent, your will, when scattered, loses its power. But when directed toward a definite purpose, it gains a force that can change everything. Think of the stories we admire most in history. They are not tales of men and women who simply wandered and waited. They are the stories of those who fixed their minds upon a great objective and moved toward it with persistence. Edison had a goal to bring light into every home, and though he failed thousands of times, his direction never wavered. Columbus had a goal to find a passage across the ocean, and though his journey was uncertain, his compass held him steady. Every man and woman who has shaped the course of civilization has done so by the same principle: direction creates destiny. Now here is the question you must ask yourself: do I have a direction? Do I know where I'm going, or am I merely walking because everyone else is walking? The sobering truth is that many people confuse movement with progress. They are busy from dawn to dusk, but busyness is not the same as accomplishment. A spinning top moves quickly, but it remains in one place. A man can live 50 years of constant effort and still end up where he began if he never chose a destination. That is why goals matter. Goals are not just wishes, not mere daydreams. They are the chosen direction of your life. They are the map by which you navigate storms, the compass that keeps you steady when others drift, the fire that gives meaning to sacrifice. Without them, life becomes a repetition of days without growth, a cycle without progress. With them, every day becomes a step closer to fulfillment. Every challenge becomes a test of your determination, and every small victory becomes a building block of your destiny. Direction is not complicated, it is a choice. It is the courage to decide where you want to go before life decides for you. And once that choice is made, destiny itself begins to align with it. That is why the great secret of success is not brilliance, not luck, not privilege. It is clarity of direction, held firmly and pursued with relentless faith. The power of a chosen destination. Every great journey begins with a decision, a chosen destination. No one drifts their way into success. No one stumbles upon fulfillment by accident. The truth is, every life that amounts to something is steered, not left to chance. And the steering wheel of life is a goal. A ship may be built with the finest steel, fitted with the most skilled crew, and stocked with every supply imaginable. Yet if it leaves the harbor without a charted course, it will wander the seas until its resources run dry. But give that same ship a clear destination, and suddenly every wave has meaning, every mile has purpose, and every challenge is measured against the certainty of where it is heading. So it is with us. Without goals, we move, but we do not progress. We work, but we do not achieve. We wake up each day, yet we never truly rise. Goals give structure to the hours, direction to the days, and destiny to the years. Without them, life is nothing more than motion without meaning. A wise man say, the problem with most people is not that they aim too high and miss, it's that they aim too low and hit. And worse still, many do not aim at all. They accept whatever comes, as though destiny were a matter of luck rather than choice. But luck is only a poor substitute for direction. The man who sets a definite goal will always outrun the one who drifts, no matter how talented or fortunate the latter may appear. A chosen destination does something remarkable to the human spirit. It awakens hidden energy, stirs dormant abilities, and calls forth strength that otherwise would lie unused. Suddenly, obstacles become stepping stones, and difficulties become teachers. Why? Because when you know where you're going, every challenge is simply part of the journey. Imagine a young man who says, I want to be a doctor. From that moment, his steps gain order. He chooses his studies carefully, spends long nights with his books, and endures years of preparation. Others may see sacrifice, but he sees progress. The long road makes sense to him because he knows where it leads. Contrast him with another who has no definite aim. He may work just as hard, he may study, he may labor, but without direction, his effort scatters. At the end of 10 years, one man is a physician, respected and useful. The other is still searching. The difference was never in their hours, but in their direction. That is the power of a chosen destination. It is the invisible magnet that pulls us forward, the quiet force that steadies us when storms rage, and the guiding star that keeps us from losing our way. Without it, we drift. With it, we build. The moment you decide where you are going, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You have declared your intent, set your course, and in doing so, you begin to shape your destiny. For destiny does not belong to the strongest nor the fastest. It belongs to the one who knows where he is going and refuses to stop until he arrives. Why goals give meaning to struggle? Life, by its very nature, is filled with struggle. No man escapes it, no woman avoids it. Struggle is woven into the fabric of growth, the price of progress, and the test of character. The question is not whether we will struggle, but whether the struggle will mean anything, and the answer depends entirely on whether or not we have a goal. A person without goals feels every hardship as a punishment, every setback as a defeat, every long day as a burden. He wonders why he must suffer, and his suffering seems senseless. But the man with a goal sees struggle differently. To him, every trial is a toll paid on the road to something greater. Every difficulty is evidence that he is moving forward, that his path, though narrow and steep, is leading somewhere worth going. Think of the athlete training before dawn. His muscles ache, his lungs burn, his body cries out for rest. Yet he persists. Why? Because the vision of victory transforms pain into preparation. The same weight that would crush another becomes his tool for strength. His goal turns suffering into fuel. Or consider the student who spends late nights at her desk while her friends are out in laughter and leisure. She endures fatigue, she pushes past frustration, she sacrifices the easy pleasures of the moment. Yet her goal, the dream of becoming a teacher, a scientist, a leader, makes her struggle not only bearable but meaningful. She knows why she suffers, and therefore her suffering becomes a source of pride rather than despair. Without goals, struggle is nothing but frustration. With goals, struggle becomes progress. The very same obstacle that drives one man to quit drives another man to grow. The difference is not in the obstacle, it is in the presence of purpose. I recall a lesson from my youth. I once complained to my father that my chores were too heavy, that the labor was unfair. He looked at me calmly and said, "Son, weight can break you or build you. It depends on whether you're lifting it for a reason." At the time, I only half understood, but as the years passed, his words proved true. When we lift for a reason, for a goal, the weight strengthens us. Without that reason, the same weight crushes us. Goals are so essential. They give our struggles a story. They turn random hardship into chosen sacrifice. They make endurance possible and even noble. For when a man knows what he is fighting for, he can endure far more than he imagined. But when he has no goal, even the smallest burden becomes too heavy to bear. So never fear the struggle. Fear instead the absence of direction, for without it, struggle is wasted. With a goal, every trial becomes a step upward, every setback becomes a lesson, and every sacrifice becomes an investment in the life you are building. Clarity versus confusion, the hidden cost of drifting. A confused man may have strength, talent, and opportunity, but without clarity, all of it is wasted. He rises each day, but he does not know why. He works, but he cannot say what he is building. He is busy, but he is not advancing. Confusion is the silent thief of destiny. Clarity, on the other hand, is like light in a dark forest. It does not remove the obstacles, but it shows you where they are and how to move around them. The moment you know where you are going, the fog of uncertainty begins to lift. Decisions become easier. Choices that once troubled you fall into place. Life itself becomes simpler, not easier, but clearer. Drifting is the natural result of confusion, and drifting is costly. It wastes not only energy, but years. A man can drift for a decade, convincing himself he is advancing simply because he is in motion. But motion without direction is deception. It gives the feeling of progress without the substance of it. Many awaken late in life to realize they have been adrift, working hard but building nothing, moving quickly but arriving nowhere. The most dangerous years of a man's life are the years he thinks he has plenty of time to decide where he's going. At first, I didn't understand, but as I grew, I saw the wisdom. Drifting often disguises itself as freedom, but it is not freedom. It is delay, and delay is the thief of opportunity. Clarity changes all of this. When you decide upon a goal, confusion gives way to focus. Instead of asking, "What should I do with my time today?" you ask, "What brings me closer to my destination?" That one shift removes countless distractions. Your life becomes like an arrow aimed at a target. You may miss at times, but at least every shot is directed, and over time, your aim improves. This is why clarity is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Without it, you drift endlessly. With it, you move steadily, even if slowly. And step by step, day by day, you arrive at a destiny chosen by you, not one chosen for you by circumstance. The discipline goals demand, and why it builds strength. Every worthwhile goal demands discipline, and discipline is often misunderstood. People think of it as punishment, as restriction, as something harsh. But discipline is not chains, it is freedom. It is the price we pay for growth, and like all worthwhile investments, it yields far more than it costs. An athlete training for a race, rising early, running miles before the sun even appears, eating carefully, resting properly, none of it is easy. But all of it is necessary. Why? Because the discipline of today builds the strength for tomorrow. Without it, the athlete may have desire, but he will not have endurance. He may have ambition, but he will not have the strength to see it through. So it is with life. Goals require us to say no to distractions, no to wasted hours, no to the temptations that lead nowhere. But every no is in service of a far greater yes. The yes of achievement, the yes of fulfillment, the yes of becoming what you were capable of being. When a man sets a goal, he places himself under a form of training. The discipline might feel uncomfortable at first. Rising earlier, working harder, studying longer, it all seems unnatural. But soon, what once felt like sacrifice begins to feel like strength. The very habits that were hard to form become the pillars that support his success. The hidden blessing of discipline, it not only brings you closer to your goals, it transforms you along the way. The very act of restraining yourself, of holding steady when others quit, of pressing forward when it would be easier to rest, forges strength of character. Discipline is not just what you do, it is what you become. So, when you feel the weight of discipline, do not curse it. Recognize it as the very force shaping you into the person capable of reaching your destination. Every goal worth achieving demands discipline, and every discipline faithfully practiced builds strength. And in that strength lies the seed of lasting success. Turning dreams into definite plans and staying persistent. Every great achievement begins as a dream, but dreams alone are fragile things. Left unshaped, they vanish like smoke in the air. To make a dream endure, it must be turned into a definite plan. And once the plan is made, it must be held fast with persistence, the steady determination that keeps us moving when the road grows long. A dream without a plan is a wish. A plan without persistence is a half-built bridge. But a dream translated into clear steps and pursued with unwavering persistence becomes destiny itself. Think of the builders of the Great Pyramids. They did not simply imagine stone upon stone forming monuments that would last for centuries. They devised precise plans, measurements, systems, and sequences of labor, and then for decades, they persisted. The pyramids were not built in a season. They were built in the stubborn march of persistence that outlasted fatigue, setbacks, and even generations. So it is with any goal worth striving for. Begin by asking, what do I truly want? Not vaguely, but with precision. Write it, define it, break it into steps. Decide what must be done this week, this month, this year. Plans make the invisible visible. They give structure to hope and turn the impossible into a map you can walk. But even the finest plan will be tested. You will face delays, detours, and doubts. This is where persistence enters. Talent may give someone a head start. Luck may open a door for another. But persistence, the willingness to rise again, to keep at the task, to hammer away at the rock long after others have quit, that is what carves the tunnel through the mountain. Dreams demand plans. Plans demand persistence. When these two work together, they form a force greater than talent, greater than luck, greater than circumstance, and that force is available to every man and woman who refuses to quit. So ask yourself, what dream have I left vague? What plan can I write today? And once I've written it, will I persist long enough to see it through? Because destiny is never handed to us. It is built step by step by those who plan with clarity and persist with courage. From activity to legacy, how goals create a life that lasts. There is a vast difference between being busy and being effective. Many people fill their days with endless activity, meetings, errands, tasks, distractions, and yet, at the end of years, they find they have built very little of lasting value. Why? Because activity without direction is like running on a treadmill. Much motion, no progress. Goals are what transform motion into momentum, and momentum into results. Goals act as the great measuring stick of life. They keep us honest with ourselves. Without them, it is easy to mistake busyness for productivity, effort for achievement. But when you have a definite goal, every day becomes a test. Did I move closer to my destination, or did I drift? That kind of clarity forces us to examine not only how hard we are working, but whether we are working on the right things. Goals transform scattered effort into enduring accomplishment. They channel our energy toward results that can be measured, seen, and remembered. But beyond results, goals give rise to legacy. A man who lives without goals may pass through life unnoticed, his days consumed by tasks that vanish with him. A man who lives with goals builds something that outlives him. Whether it is the family he raised with principles, the business he built with integrity, the community he strengthened with service, or the ideas he left behind to inspire others, his goals create ripples that continue long after he is gone. Legacy is not written by accident. It is carved by direction. Each goal pursued with purpose becomes a stone in the monument of a life well lived. And when others look upon that monument, they see not just what was achieved, but what was valued. Ask yourself, am I chasing activity or building legacy? At the end of your days, will you say, I was always busy? Or will you say, I left behind something that mattered? That is the ultimate measure of goals. They not only guide our present, they shape how we will be remembered. So life doesn't reward the busiest. It rewards the ones who knew where they were going. Direction decides destiny. Set your goals, stay the course, and your life will not be a circle of activity, but a straight path toward a legacy that endures.